This lesson we're going to show how an IR sensor that detects IR light will send a signal to an Arduino, which will then make an electric motor turn. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, okay, first using wiring from previous videos, we're going to write the program. Okay, let's start with pound include angle eating.h angle. Eating, though that may be a good library, we don't really need that for turning the electric motor. So let's just comment it out. Okay. Okay, so that's not seen by the computer or Arduino right now. Okay. So, okay, integer n1 is assigned the value of 7, semicolon. Okay, basically, when you're writing a program, you should see the whole picture before you even start. So, a lot of this won't make much sense right now, but you'll see it later. Let's just go through it. Integer n1 is assigned the value of 7. The variable n1 is assigned the value of 7. Integer n2 is assigned the value of 6. Integer en a is assigned the variable of 5. The variable NA is assigned the variable of 5. Okay? Right now, I'll just give you a heads up. NA stands for enable 1. Okay? So, but forget that for now. Next, let's go on to void setup parentheses. Okay, I forgot to mention that functions also need to be declared, not just variables. So, void is also a type of declaration you can do, like integer, float, or byte. Void is basically nothing. Void means nothing. So if you're not returning anything, you can say void. Setup is like setting up your kitchen before you get ready to cook. Okay, you get out the pots and pans, you get out the measuring cups, you get out the measuring spoons, etc. Okay, so same thing here. We get everything out set up for what we're about to do. Okay, so open squirrely says this is start of the box. Pin mode is Arduino command, which does exactly what it says. Pin 2, mode, output. Okay, so pin 2, output. Everything's from the Arduino's perspective. So pin 2 right here is going to be output to the piezo buzzer. Okay, pin mode 5, output. Pin 5 is the output to enable 1. Pin 6 is an output. Pin 6 is an output to input 2. Pin 7 is an output. Pin 7 is an output to input 1. Pin 10 is an input. Pin 10 is an input from the IR sensor. Okay? So next, tone is also an Arduino command. You put parentheses, pin, frequency, duration. Pin 2 here, which goes to the piezo buzzer, and 3000 hertz or 3 kilohertz frequency. The higher the number of hertz, the higher the pitch. Anyways, 1000 duration, 1000 milliseconds, always in milliseconds, so 1000 milliseconds is 1 second. Tone means send a tone signal to the piezo buzzer. Delay, 1000 milliseconds. This is always in milliseconds. So 1000 milliseconds is 1 second. Close squirrely. Close the setup. Next, void loop, parentheses. Loop is also an interesting function box. Okay, loop is a function box that continuously loops, constantly. So that's going to be our main program right there. This was just setting everything up. Open squarely. Integer IR sense is assigned the value of IR detect, parentheses 10. Okay, where did IR detect come from? We made it up. Actually, we created this function box down here. IR detect, parentheses IR receiver pin. Where did IR receiver pin come from? We made it up. Again, but we don't need to declare it to be integer or whatever because it's with IR detect, which is integer. Anyways, IR receiver pin gets its value from what's in IR detects parentheses will go down to be in IR detects parentheses 10 goes here, IR receiver pin. Open squirrely integer IR assigned the value of digital read, parentheses, IR receiver pin, which we said was 10, so it's 10 here. Digital read 10, pin 10. Okay, so pin 10 is digitally read from the IR sensor. So that's assigned the value to IR, which is type integer. So IR is whatever is on pin 10. The IR sensor is backwards. If it sees light, it's going to send a 0. If it doesn't see light, it's going to send a 1. So let's say it sees the light. It's going to send pin 10 0. It's going to be 0 here. Pin 10 digitally read. Pin 10 is 0, which is assigned to the value of IR. Now delay 1 millisecond, return IR, which is 0. Okay, so go back to where we started. IR detect, we have a 0 there, which is assigned the value to IR sense, which is type integer. Okay, so next, if IR sense is equal to 0, by the way, IR sense is, 2 equals means equal, not is a sign like 1 equal. 2 equals means actually equal. If IR sense is equal to 0, which we're saying it is, then open squarely. Digital write is a command by Arduino, parentheses N1, comma, low. So N1 we said was assigned the value of 7. So we could replace N1 with 7. 7 is digital write 7 to low, pin 7 to low. Okay, so Arduino is going to write pin 7 to low, which is going to go up to input 1. Digital write N2 to high. So N2 is pin 6. So that'll be pin 6 to high. So Arduino send a high on pin 6 up to input 2. So we got low on input 1 and high on input 2. And digital write enable to high. Enable pin 5. Pin 5 goes all the way up to enable 1, so that the left half will be enabled. Delay 1000 milliseconds, 1 second. Close squarely, and by the way, we need to close all of it with a squarely. So everything's done now. So when the IR sensor sees light, it's going to send a 0, and then it's going to go through all of this and then decide to turn the electric motor, which is coming out of output 1 and output 2 to here, according to like this schematic. A battery plus will repel the positive and make this positive attracted to this negative, which is at the bottom, causing it to turn. So that's it for writing the program for turning a motor using if the IR sensor sees invisible light.